Welcome to another edition of Lakeville City Council Wrap-Up. During this program, we will highlight the agenda items presented to the Lakeville City Council at their January 4th, 2016 meeting. First highlighted item on the agenda is item number 5B, Public Works Report. And to provide the background information on this agenda item is Public Works Director Chris Petrie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's my pleasure to be here with you this evening presenting the December 2015 monthly report for the Public Works Department. I think as the council is aware, as we transition into 2016, we'll be going to quarterly reports, but since we're still on that monthly cycle, I only have December to give to you, but when we're back in April, of course, we'll do a quarterly report at that time. So we'll start off with what's happened in the month of December. And first off, some project updates. Of course, most of our roadway projects and transportation projects have slowed a little bit with the winter months, but one project that is still in full swing is our water treatment facility improvements. And work on our reservoir, which there's no pictures here, but the big 1 million gallon expansion of our reservoir is complete. And disinfection and testing of the reservoir was completed right before Christmas, and now that new portion of the reservoir is in fact in use. Also, both new pumps in our high service pump area have been put into place, have been tested, and are in use now. And those pumps are the pictures on both the left and the right hand side of the screen. The picture on the right hand side is the pump for kind of our backwash water that helps to clean out the filter beds. And the pump on the left side, which is a 700 horsepower pump, the largest one we have in the facility, is for actually pumping out into the distribution system, and that's the photo on the left-hand side. Also included with the improvements are upgrades to some of our chemical feed systems. The fluoride upgrades and expansion of that system has been completed, and that is in use currently. And the last piece is our chlorine system expansion, and that's some of the photos that you see in the middle of the screen there, where we're adding some capacity on to add more cylinders of chlorine into our disinfection process. So the project's on track to meet both the substantial and final completion dates at the end of January. Other project updates still related to utilities, our Holyoke Avenue water tower. The shaft construction and the dome panels are complete. As you can drive by, you can see the shaft is there and the actual dome is on the tower. Now what will occur, and you can see the crane here in the photos, although it's covered with snow, fabrication of the actual tank will begin to take place and take shape over the coming months. And we expect that the tank itself will be lifted on top of the shaft by early summer, and we'll of course make sure the council and everyone in the community is well aware of when that's going to happen. Project remains on schedule to be completed in the fall of 2016. Now we can at least talk about a little snow. The year started off a little bit slow. We did have some snowfall on the last day of November, but we saw our first major snow event really with a significant amount of accumulation here in late December. Our streets division, along with our utilities and park maintenance staff, were out early in the morning of December 29th. While the council is aware, but I want to make sure everyone else listening and in the council chambers is aware, all snowplow routes, of course, are given priority. However, collector roadways are our first priority. That's what we get out on, of course, in the middle of the night, and that's what we focus our energies on. And then we move into our residential areas and other parts of our system that we plow, such as trails, city parking lots, and things of that nature. The initial focus, again, with the collector roads is to make sure that we can enable our motorists to get through Lakeville as safely as possible. Now, throughout the storm and the subsequent cleanup, our plow operators spent in excess of 300 hours in their plows and applied over 250 tons of de-icing chemicals to our nearly 300 miles of roadways. Tree trimming. Our streets division is also out working on tree trimming. While tree trimming can be done really at any time of the year, depending on the species, it's best to trim, of course, in the winter months. So we try and focus all of our trimming efforts from December through March every year. Several advantages to that winter trimming are the absence of foliage, We can see more structural problems with the trees. It makes it more visible. And the trees are also dormant, as I mentioned earlier, with what's the best time of the year to trim. Most trees, it's beneficial to trim while they're dormant, so we take advantage of that as well. Staff began trimming these trees in December. Like I mentioned, we got a really good start on things because of the slow start to our winter. And the main reason for our boulevard tree trimming, just to remind everyone out there, is to remove diseased and dead branches, remove branches that overhang the street and can obstruct or damage passing vehicles, and also to improve the shape and health of the tree and improve sight lines. From a communication standpoint, letters are sent to residents in all of our tree trimming areas in advance of our staff moving into the area, and then staff actually goes door to door and tries to speak with all of the residents about their boulevard tree and answer any questions before trimming is completed. The next slide I wanted to highlight our Geographic Information Systems, or our GIS group, is within our engineering division. And GIS is a system designed to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, and present all types of spatial and geographical data. Most of the time, all of you, and even as staff, we see the geographic data, the map, and we make use of the information, of course, on the maps. But while that's the focus of our GIS staff, they also do a tremendous amount beyond just the maps that you see and that are prepared for you. And besides digitizing some of our as-built drawings, we also do additional things really that focus on managing our assets for the city. You can see by some of the maps in front of you, it's hard to read, but specifically the map on the right is a map of our sanitary sewer televising. So not only do we have a map of the sanitary sewer system, but we actually have the segments of pipe that are cleaned, and then within that you can actually click on that pipe. You can get the video of that televising link that we have with all of the information on that pipe specifics as far as the structural integrity, the cleanliness of the pipe, all these things that ultimately not only manage our assets but also protect the city in the event of any sanitary sewer backups or things of that nature. Our GIS staff is also focused on developing a number of different apps for our environmental resources and parks and recreation staff. And they've also worked on apps such as the sanitary sewer televising app that you see in front of you that ties in with some of our iPads and other mobile technology. Lastly, they're also currently working with our streets division to develop an app for our citywide inventory of signs. We have the inventory of signs, but it's how do we manipulate that data and how do we best use it to manage those assets that are out there, which we literally have thousands and thousands of signs, of course, within our city. So really, to sum it all up, all of this data can be collected, it's presented on a map, and it really is helpful for all of our areas of the city, including finance, public works, parks, and all of the other divisions for managing our city assets. And lastly, with the end of the year and the end of the fourth quarter, I wanted to paint a picture for the council where we're at for water use for 2015. In 2015, our total pumpage or water use was 2.288 billion gallons of water, which is approximately 3% less than our 10-year average, which was 2.341 billion gallons. So slightly less. And we'll look at kind of the monthly water use slides to help explain that. You can see we started off with a cooler, wetter spring and even wetter summer to some extent. Then it kind of dried out and we had the long drawn out fall and into the winter, and you can see at least the 2015 usage kind of peak over the 10-year average, excuse me. So that's a direct correlation, of course, what we saw for usage over the course of the year to what we saw monthly for kind of our weather. Another important statistic that we look very closely at, and it's tied into water conservation, is our water use per person or per capita. Our 2015 average daily use per person was 105.07 gallons. That's down from our 2014 average very slightly from 105.38 gallons per person per day. but significantly down from our 10-year average of 114.24 gallons per person per day. So we're very happy to see those numbers. With a growing community, it's actually very impressive that we can actually reduce that number. And lastly, the last slide I have for you is water use, average day versus peak day, and really the one key item to hit on here is our peak day was August 15th with just over 15 million gallons. We've had peak days in previous years that have exceeded 20 million gallons, so pretty low year for peak day use, and our average daily use was just a shade under 6 million gallons a day. And that does conclude the monthly report for December 2015. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Next highlighted item on the agenda is item number 9, public hearing on the proposed 2016-2020 Capital Improvement Plan. And to provide the background information on this agenda item is Finance Director Geraldine Erickson.
For the benefit of the public, I'd like to just explain the purpose of the CIP is to protect the infrastructure and capital assets by establishing a replacement plan for existing infrastructure and capital assets, and also by identifying those improvements necessary to accommodate the growth of the community. The CIP is a 5-year flexible planning document. It's not a budget, it's a flexible planning document. The 2016 projects have been incorporated into the 2016 budget, and the 2017 through 2020 projects we know will be reviewed as we go through the CIP process again, as well as the 2017 budget. So it's our opportunity, it's a planning document that calls out the need for those projects, capital asset equipment, replacement and so forth, but we know that we'll be revisiting all of those projects and so forth. It also identifies the future tax and debt pressures, and that gives council and staff direction as far as where they might need to fine-tune the plan itself. It also provides policy discussion on the replacement plan, when we are replacing capital assets and so forth, funding, and a number of other items. There's 5 components in the CIP. Transportation, which also includes the street reconstruction plan, the utilities, parks, the facilities, which is a 10-year plan, and the equipment, which is also a 10-year plan and includes technology. So I'll briefly go through the 2016 projects that are in the CIP. I won't go through the 17 through 20 because we know that we'll be revisiting some of those. In the transportation, we have the Dodd Boulevard, 194th to 185th Street. This is an expansion to a 4-lane divided highway. We have the Kenwood Trail from Dodd Boulevard to 185th Street. That's also an expansion to a 4-lane divided highway. It also improves roadway operations, makes safety improvements, and provides for increasing traffic levels. The Highview Avenue, County Road 70 to the south city limits. That is a collector road, and that's for maintaining the overall condition of the road surface and so forth. Pavement management, that is also basic maintenance for city streets. Street reconstruction, we have a number of large projects coming up, Phase 2 of 2015, as well as 2016 project, which is included here. That also, a note about that the costs are assessed. There's property tax component, but also an assessment component to it. The 172nd Street realignment at Kenwood Trail, that's for improvements for intersection geometrics and operations, for safety improvements, as well as for providing for increasing traffic levels. For utilities, we have the lift station number 6, major rehabilitation, repairs for inflow and infiltration, replacement of water main and sewer systems in conjunction with our street recon projects. The water meter replacement program, we're replacing approximately 800 meters per year, and this is just a continuance of the program. And then a new well, number 21, the construction. In parks, we have our ongoing major maintenance and park and trail improvements. New park, Summerlin Park. King Park improvements includes the installation of irrigation systems and lighting, and I'd like to note that we did receive a $150,000 donation from the Lakeville Baseball Association, and in future years they have committed to an additional, I believe it's about $300,000 of funding for those improvements. Avon Lee Park, which is the acquisition of land using this proceeds from a sale of property, city property, and then a new park, the Ritter Farm Dog Park. For facilities, the Art Center includes some waterproofing of the building and landscaping. City Hall, repairs to the concrete floor and some other improvements. Rooftop unit replacements at Heritage Center and Liquor Store. And at the police and fire stations, some various repairs, but including the apparatus bay floor recoating at the fire stations. The equipment fund for 2016, I'm just going to highlight some of the larger acquisitions. The fire engine, this is a two-part. The council approved 2 fire engines in 2015. This is the second one. One was budgeted for 2015 and the second one was 2016, but we were able to secure some better pricing by purchasing them together. But we do have the second one being budgeted for 2016. Vehicle replacement includes the dump trucks. There's 2 replacement and 1 new. The new one is associated with the additional maintenance 2 position that was approved in the budget. There's also a velocity patch truck, which is new, and replacement of sweepers, excuse me. Technology, the largest component here is the replacement of the police in-car modems and computers. That was a significant cost. The debt impact, the CIP does include debt of about $94 million over the 5 years. About $25 million of that is to be repaid by special assessments, about $42 million from taxes. And this is not to be repaid within this 5-year time frame, that it's issued within the 5-year time frame and paid over. Typically, it's been a 20-year term. In some cases with equipment and so forth, that might be just a 10-year term. About $18 million would be repaid by water operations, about $1 million from sewer operations, and about $9 million from the water trunk fund. And that does include the upcoming bond issue for the water trunk improvements, water treatment facility expansion and the water tower. So there's 3 resolutions before you tonight: the approval of the CIP, the approval of the street recon plan, as well as declaring the city's intent to reimburse certain expenditures from the proceeds of bonds. And that is a housekeeping item, just to give us flexibility to issue bonds if we feel the need to do that. And we have a public hearing, the opportunity for public testimony on these spending priorities.
Item number 9 was approved by the Lakeville City Council. Next highlighted item on the agenda was item number 10, resolution approving feasibility report and calling a public hearing for improvements to Highview Avenue. And to give the information regarding this agenda item is Operation and Maintenance Engineer Monica Heil.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tonight we are here to update you on the Highview Avenue Improvement Project. As Finance Director Erickson mentioned, the project extends from County Road 70 to a point just north of the South City limits where the current paved roadway surface ends. This project was identified as a part of the city's pavement management program due to some ongoing winter maintenance issues that occur as the pavement temps during freeze-thaw cycles. As a part of the feasibility report, a project cost estimate was completed. The estimated project costs are $416,535. Of that, approximately $249,929 is proposed to be funded using city CIP funds. The remaining $166,614 is proposed to be funded using special assessment dollars. At this point, these are just estimates. The final cost of the project will be determined once the project is bid in the spring. The project itself is pretty straightforward. The roadway exists as a roadway section. We propose to reclaim the pavement surface in order to address some of the pavement tenting issues that are occurring along this roadway. With that provides the city with a timely opportunity to complete some minor utility repairs, namely the replacement of some water main valve box tops and the installation of chimney seals along our sanitary sewer system to prevent any future I&I issues. The roadway will be repaved and resurfaced to provide a new roadway section designed to handle the truck traffic that passes through there on a daily basis. In addition, roadway shoulder rehabilitation will be completed. As you can see, a number of the trucks do leave the pavement surface. We propose to repair that and replace that as a part of the project. The assessments are estimated at $33.76 per front foot. In accordance with the city's assessment policy, commercial and industrial properties are assessed on a front foot basis. These assessments would be levied over a 20-year assessment period, with the first payment due with taxes payable in 2017. Looking forward, we would propose to approve a resolution tonight setting a public hearing date for February 1st. Following that public hearing, the City Council will have the opportunity to formally order the project. If the project is ordered, staff would move forward with producing plans and specifications for the project, and we would open bids on April 1st. At the Council's April 18th meeting, we would declare the cost for the project, report the final special assessment amounts, and set an assessment hearing for May 16th of 2016. At that assessment hearing, property owners would have an opportunity to talk about these special assessments for the project, and the council would have the option to award the contract for construction to the low bid on that project. We would not propose to start construction until approximately August or September of 2016. That would allow time for the completion of the work underway at the interstate property to be completed before the city moves forward with rehabilitating that roadway adjacent to that parcel. We would then certify assessments to the county in December of 2016. And with that, the City Council has the option to accept the feasibility report and set the public hearing date for the February 1st, 2016 City Council meeting. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the Council may have.
Item number 10 was approved by the Lakeville City Council. Next highlighted item on the agenda is item number 11, consider resolution authorizing application for a planning grant from the Dakota County CDA. And to give the information regarding this agenda item is Community and Economic Development Director Dave Olson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As council just acted on a capital improvements program for the next 5 years, included in that project, not in 2016, but in 2017, is a mill and overlay of Holyoke Avenue from County Road 7 to Heritage Drive. And as the council is aware and as staff has presented information, I was going to say earlier this year, but I guess it was recently last year, on the condition of the sidewalks along Holyoke Avenue, primarily in the central business district, which goes from 210th to about 206th. And as council is well aware, there's some significant issues with the current pavement in that section of sidewalk along Holyoke Avenue. We've also had the same discussion, or similar discussions with and met, and Ms. Heil and other staff have made presentations to the Downtown Lakeville Business Association regarding the sidewalk portion of the Holyoke Avenue project as well. Since that time, staff has looked into and explored the feasibility of the CDA Redevelopment Incentive Grant Program to possibly go after some planning grant monies to work on concepts and ultimately, hopefully, a design for the replacement sidewalk / streetscape in downtown, which would not only include the pavement, but include lighting and landscaping and anything else associated in the public right-of-way. The CDA Redevelopment Incentive Grant Program is a program we've utilized on a number of occasions, exclusively in the downtown, both for planning money, and we've also been able to successfully receive funds from the program to pay for a portion of both Market Plaza as well as the public parking improvements that were completed in 2014. It's a competitive grant program, eligible only to cities in Dakota County. The applications, and it has one annual funding cycle every year, and applications are due January 15th, with a CDA decision made by April of this year. The maximum that you can apply for on a planning grant is $15,000, and it also, the planning grants require a one-for-one matching funding source, and we would propose to, if council agrees with the request for submittal of the planning grant application, to match the $15,000 in CDA RIG money with an additional $15,000 of CDBG planning money that's already been programmed for planning activities, for a total of $30,000. The planning grant would allow it, the city to retain a landscape architectural firm to come up with concepts, and we have, and there's since been created a working group of the Downtown Business Association. I believe our next meeting is January 19th to meet with that group. And you should have received, and we received today from the Downtown Lakeville Business Association Executive Director, signed by the President, Paul Hageland of the DLBA, supporting the application, submittal of the planning grant application. So with that, I would, the resolution is included in your packet. It's part of the application process, and if there are any questions, I'd certainly be happy to try and answer them.
Item number 11 was approved by the Lakeville City Council. Well, those were the highlighted items presented to the City Council at their January 4th, 2016 meeting. If you have any questions or comments regarding these agenda items, please feel free to call City Hall. The number is 952-985-4400. Thanks for watching this edition of Lakeville City Council Wrap-Up.